Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you set 3 of SKT1 versus KT Rolster. This is gonna be a beast of a game. We've got Best and Flash. Best has slumped as of late in the last few months. He hasn't been playing as well as his old self. He does have one OSL silver, but no victories in any Star League or anything. But he is quite a solid player. 61% overall, 63% versus Terran. Quite good. He is very good against Terran. Certainly pretty solid in all matchups, although he is only about 53% in Zerg, which is not that great, but a lot of Protosses are in that category, so not a big deal. Versus Terran and Protoss are still very, very good. Flash, on the other hand, is just he's a monster. Like there's no other way to put him other than that he's just an absolute beast of a beast. He puts he puts dragons to shame and just takes them down one after another. He is just ridiculous. He is over 2/3 in every single matchup. The only player who can say that, I don't even know if there's another player who, with any reasonable number of games, has ever held that type of statistic at any point, really. Neither Jaedong or Bisu can boast even more than one matchup at over 66%, and Flash can say that he's over 66% in all 3 matchups. So pretty insane there, pretty absolutely ridiculous. This match is gonna be on Fighting Spirit, one of the new maps. I think it's a very standard map, pretty simple. Bases in the corners, pretty easy to take second base, and then kind of a longer distance to your third. But it's not a complicated map. I don't think there's too much trickery or chicanery to it. And I think I've played on it quite a bit. It's pretty fun. It's pretty simple, and just allows players to, if you want to play macro game, you can definitely play macro games. It's a lot of fun, I think. It's just a nice standard map. And just looking at the start positions, we got Flash in the bottom left and red, and Best in the top right and teal. I'm sure you guys can figure that out. Best is the Protoss player, and Flash is the Terran player. Best going for a scout right now. Going to scout counterclockwise. Going to scout Flash second, of course, just because of, well, their cross position. So unless Best does something really crazy, like goes from top left to bottom right, yeah, I think he'll be fine. He'll just scout it out as a normal pattern. Although Flash already walled in, so we'll get to see whether Flash does what he usually does. And really, I understand how it works, how Flash works. Flash's theory is defend, macro up, and then push out and win. I'm just amazed at how consistent it works. Like, he does it virtually every game. Probably 9 out of 10 games, maybe more than 9 out of 10 games, he simply macros up, plays very safe, not all that ridiculously exciting. I mean, it's impressive how he plays. He definitely has great micro, great macro, great strategy, a lot of high quality play in him. It's just not that terribly exciting, at least, especially in like the first 10-12 minutes. It's usually not all that impressive, or not impressive, but not all that exciting. But it works, and it just amazes me that no one's really been able to crack that shell and just figure out how to beat that style of Terran that he plays. Even though he does it very similar so consistently. And yeah, just kind of surprising. But he is throwing up one factory right now. It looks like he took a couple SCVs off of gas, so this should be a pretty expansionary build, as per usual when you see Terrans do that. You know, you don't really see Protosses or Zergs do that hardly ever at all. Once they get three workers on gas, like they keep 3 workers on gas. It's very, very rare that they change that. And Best actually throwing up a pylon at the 3 o'clock base. That is one way for him to get his third base. There's a base at the 2:30, 3 o'clock position where he placed that pylon. There's also another base to the left of his natural expansion, about the 11:30, that I believe is actually closer for him to reinforce. And in playing the map, I've definitely noticed that it's when you start off in cross positions, or if your opponent starts clockwise from you, it's usually safer to actually expand that way from Best position and take that, just because the reinforcement rate is shorter. But at the same time, the base that Best is taking is technically his third expansion as far as the corners of the map go. It does look like this is just a standard 2-gate OBS expand for Best, and Flash, I believe he's just going for an expansionary build as well. They haven't showed us his base in a while, but pretty sure it's just going to be a pretty standard siege expand. We see the siege engineering bay going up. We've got a command center already being built, and the factory machine shop is spinning. So I'm sure he'll produce a tank just to make sure that he doesn't get harassed too much, and then it's just a matter of what else if he decides to produce another factory, or if that and try and push out maybe in a little bit, or just plays defensively, which is what I expect. And I'm also almost surprised that he hasn't thrown out an armory already. Flash does love his upgrades, and it's never too early for Flash upgrades. What, 3 minutes into the game? What? Of course I have an armory. 3 minutes? I already have 2 armories. That's the Flash style. Flash already has 2 tanks out already, throwing up a couple turrets here and there as well. Just preparing, just in case Best goes for a DT build or a DT drop. He will have some turrets around to defend against that. They'll also be very effective against Reavers as well. All these turrets, this is great play for Terran players. Take notes, throw up turrets early, throw up turrets in a lot of different positions. It makes it hard to be harassed by shuttles, by Reavers. Makes it hard to be storm dropped. Makes it hard to be zealot bombed inside of your own base. It stops DTs. It's just there's nothing wrong with having a couple extra turrets here or there, as long as you don't end up with like walls of like 15 turrets, which is just ridiculous. But overall, it's usually quite a good idea to have turrets throughout your base defending. It really stops Protoss players from getting those 17, 20 kill Reavers that just can turn a game on their own and just make it so that way a Protoss player can win from just one small play, which is awesome as it is to watch. It is like one of the coolest things to watch, a speed shuttle go through and get like 30 kill Reavers. That's super awesome, and it's so exciting, but like it really shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't really. Ever. We got a couple observers here on the left. Looks like they're gonna charge in, sacrifice one observer for the other. What the heck? I guess he really wanted to see this bottom left, wanted to see that armory and that academy. Kind of weird. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I think I've just witnessed a brand new moment in my StarCraft experience, watching 2 observers charge in, so that way one observer sacks itself or the other. Pretty amusing there. Citadel Vadun is almost up. Going to see the Templar Archives. Probably going to see a Stargate pretty shortly after that as well. So this will be 3-gate toss into pretty early arbiters, and Best has very good arbiters. He has very good arbiter plays. He places stasis very, very well, times his recalls pretty damn well as well. So yeah, certainly that's a good play for Protoss. That is very normal for Protoss. Usually Protoss want to get their arbiters out by about maybe 12 minutes or so, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. Somewhere in that range is a good time to get your arbiters out if you're going for that type of build, and start building up that energy for a few stasises in order to counter a push by Terran. We are seeing the second factory finally go up for Flash. I think that's the second factory. That might actually be the third. We see a scan going down, and he does scan that Templar Archive, so he's going to see the Templar Archives. He knows that it's going to be possible storm drops. Very likely he knows that it's going to be for eventually into arbiters. It's just got to be obviously assumed for him. We see the starport immediately go down, so yeah, he knows that this is for arbiters. Slowing down the starport immediately, he's going to get the science vessels out as early as possible. Going to get ready to start EMP, and it's just very intelligent play by Flash. Flash is another one of those players, along with Jaedong and usually Bisu. The 3 of them, and Fantasy too, I'm going to throw in there, and probably a couple other players if I really think about it. Players that just make me happy to watch the game. They respond intelligently when they see the attack, when they see choices being made by their opponent. They respond intelligently and correctly, and it's great to watch. I hate seeing players just like if a player scans and sees a robotics facility in a support bay and doesn't throw up turrets. I'm like, really, what were you doing? Or if they wander an SCV in and see a Stargate pretty early for a Protoss player, and they don't assume that it's for arbiters, don't get their starport up. I'm like, why did you scout? If you're not going to respond correctly, why did you even bother to scout? There's no point. But these guys don't really make any mistakes. I mean, those were just simple examples I'm giving you, but there's far more subtle things that those guys do that is just so impressive, and they're very rarely caught off guard either. Which is just great to see. We see some Vulture Harass trying to come out for Flash, trying to do some Vulture Harass. You're not going to be all too successful. And altogether, as long as if no harassment is done, I mean, and you're talking about 3 base on 3 base, it's got to be advantage for Terran if it's just straight up TVP. And if it's Flash, then it's like double advantage for Terran because Flash is Flash. And if you don't harass him early, if you can't get some damage done or put yourself in a position to out macro someone who's very difficult to out macro, you're going to be in trouble. And I do overall, I still do think that Flash, that best play right now is quite good.